Some breaking news now. The indictment was just unsealed, and now we know what charges were filed against music and hip hop icon Sean Diddy Combs.
Yeah, I'm looking through a little bit of it right now. KCAL News reporter Tina Patel joining us with those new details and what this indictment is actually revealing.
Yeah, well, we're going to be learning more through the paperwork and then when he makes his first court appearance. We now know that Combs is facing both federal sex trafficking and a racketeering charge. And as we said, today, this morning, he will be making his first court appearance in New York. Now, Combs has been in federal custody since being arrested in a New York hotel yesterday. We know that prosecutors were looking for evidence against the rapper when they raided his homes in Miami and here in Los Angeles back in March. At the time, Homeland Security officials told us those searches were part of a months-long human trafficking investigation. The indictment says Combs has a persistent and pervasive pattern of abuse towards women and other individuals. He allegedly manipulated people by leveraging financial support and controlling their careers. He is also accused of using his business and certain employees to carry out and cover up this abuse and commercial sex. Now, Combs is also, you might remember, facing several lawsuits accusing him of sexual assault. He settled one of those cases brought by his former girlfriend, Cassie, but his reputation took a big hit after video surfaced that showed him beating and kicking her in a hotel when they were still a couple. That incident was cited in this indictment. Now, Combs' attorney spoke briefly with media in New York this morning. He says Combs' spirits are good and that he will be pleading not guilty to these charges. He also says he is going to fight like hell to get Combs released from custody. And again, these paperwork just kind of being unsealed now, so there's a lot of details that we're going to be going in, trying to read through, find out exactly what these charges are and how long this has been going on. Because we know the investigation's been going on for months, but some of these allegations we believe is actually years.
Yeah, since 2009 for some of them. So
yeah, it'll be interesting to see too, you know, how this plays out and him being in court and what his reaction is. So thanks for keeping us updated, Tina.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just coming in this morning. All right. We want to bring in Loyola law professor Jessica Levinson for some insight on these charges.
Good morning, Jessica. We want to start with, can you kind of unpack these charges a little bit? Many know what sex trafficking is, but what about racketeering and how do those two work together?
So racketeering is typically a charge that we would see with respect to organized crime. That's known with respect to the mafia, but that's not always the case. Racketeering is a charge that you can add on generally to other charges, and it involves, generally speaking, a group of people and a decision to engage in illegal behavior. I'm being very broad on purpose, but we see racketeering charges added in a variety of cases that don't just include the mafia. So here, there might have been an understanding among a group to engage in illegal activity related to the sex trafficking, related to the fraud, related to the coercion. We see this in other cases as well. I mean, even one of the cases pending against former President Trump involves a charge of racketeering, the Georgia case. So it really is a charge that can be added on to other charges, again, related to a group decision to engage in illegal behavior.
Yeah, very, very serious here. As the indictment, I mean, Jessica describing him as the head of a criminal, accusing him being the head of this criminal enterprise. Can you explain even what led up to today, today's indictment, how it might relate to Combs' other legal issues? We saw that video that was leaked back in May. I mean, how does this all tie in?
Well, I think that is going to be one of the keys as we move towards a potential trial to see how much the prosecution wants to rely on evidence from the other cases. But those other cases are civil cases. So how did we get here? We know back in the spring of 2024, there was a search warrant that was executed on Sean Combs' homes, both here and in Florida. At that point, everybody is on alert to the fact that there are potential federal charges coming. A search warrant doesn't mean you absolutely are going to end up where we ended up today, which is with a federal indictment. But it means that there's enough there, there's probable cause to say, we federal investigators think that there might be evidence of a federal crime located in these homes. They then spent the last few months presumably looking at all the evidence that they obtained, interviewing witnesses, and then we lead up to today where there's the complaint, the indictment. He will be arraigned, the indictment has been unsealed, and then we will move towards a potential trial. Let's all remember that most cases don't go to trial, most cases do settle. What kind of time is he facing, I think you asked? I mean, these are serious charges, decades in federal prison, but we're not there yet.
Okay, and we talked a little bit about that video. You know, so much of this is played out on social media and in the media. You know, how does that change his defense now that we've seen that video of him beating up a former girlfriend in a hotel?
Well, I think obviously that was a PR disaster for Sean Combs, and he very quickly settled the case with respect to, as we just heard, Cassie Ventura. But that video alone does not prove the rest of the charges. Now, if the jury sees that video, and certainly I think the defense attorneys in a potential trial would fight very hard to try and keep the video out. But if they see that, then what happens? I mean, then the jury thinks this is a bad guy who did bad things. But that video in and of itself does not alone prove the rest of the charges here. So the video has to be part of a much broader narrative that the prosecution tells the jury. The sex trafficking charges, the racketeering charges, those have to go beyond that, even though it was horrifying and upsetting, beyond those few seconds we saw on the video, to explain how the facts that they gathered fit within the elements of those federal charges.
Yeah, and of course it would be hard to find an impartial jury because so many people have an opinion on him because he's a public figure. Thank you so much, Jessica Levinson, for joining us this morning.
Always good to have her insight.